Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the award. These are our annual preservation awards. We're a little bit late this year. The Preservation Month is actually in May, but preservation is good to be celebrated any time of the year. So we are now in September. We have some very exciting projects that have been worked on and developed in Montclair over the past year. And we have our commissioners here who are going to present the awards, plus me. You get me no matter what. So anyway, first of all, I would like to acknowledge and thank the commissioners that serve on the HPC. We have 5 of them tonight. John Reimnitz, who's in the back, Michael Graham, Nick Giuliano, Zena Floyd, and Kevin Pierre. This is it's a commitment that people, and Jerry Sweeney has just come in. So it's a commitment that we make to meet every month, and we do a number of things. We are a quasi-judicial commission that we look to give recommendations to the planning board and the zoning board, and we also have jurisdiction over the historic districts that are here in Montclair, of which we have 4, and we have a number of individual local districts. So I'd like to acknowledge my fellow commissioners and thank them for their service. And I'd also like to acknowledge our elected board members that we have here, 2 councilors at large, Carmel Lockman and Susan Shin Anderson. They have to leave soon, so if they walk out, it's not because you're boring. So we are here tonight to celebrate the people and buildings of Montclair. And I think everyone knows in this room that Montclair is blessed with an abundance of architecturally significant buildings. From the grand houses on the hill, the vernacular working cottages, numerous turn-of-the-century suburban residences, vibrant commercial districts, lush parks, and glorious religious buildings, our image is that we take great pride in these resources. The natural beauty of the area was recognized by its first inhabitants, as evidenced by the original Lenni Lenape name, meaning under the gaze of the mountain. Notable artists also recognized this and made Montclair their home. It is the combination of natural scenery, small-scale village architecture, and the wealth of residential architectural styles, and a reasonable commute, which attracted and continue to attract new residents and keep our old residents here. Tonight, we celebrate 4 Bricks and Mortar Awards, a Preservation Service Award, and a Preservationist Award. The variety and excellence of these awards is a testament to the commitment of our commission members who evaluate projects within the framework of the Montclair Design Guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. As we are members of the community, we strive to provide a positive process and outcome for their successes. We often meet on-site to discuss details with owners, tenants, architects, contractors, and design professionals. Our HP consultant, Stephen Smolin, attends our meetings and offers his expert advice on applications. As I said before, we are quasi-judicial, created by ordinance, and the HPC is considered one of the 3 land boards which works out of the planning office. And to that end, I would like to thank our secretary and also the assistant planner who has helped put everything together tonight. And I'm going to pronounce your name wrong, because I always do. Zanab, okay, thank you. I encourage everyone to look at the township website under Historic Preservation to understand more about the workings of the HPC, and I urge you to attend our meetings and voice your opinions about the many projects we supervise. Now I'm going to make a plug for the old buildings in Montclair. Most of the architects who worked in Montclair at the beginning of the 20th century also lived here with their families. They were invested in the town and the workings of the township. Francis Nelson, responsible for the Belleville Library, the Upper Montclair Women's Club, the Williams-Sonoma Building, the Upper Montclair Post Office, plus numerous residences, was also a member of the planning board and lived on Highland Avenue. His home is still there, lived in today. Otto Schmetsch, an Austrian structural engineer, was responsible for the police station, the first municipal building built in the Beaux-Arts style in 1914. He lived on Montclair Avenue, and his house is still there, and he was a member of the Board of Education. Leslie Walker, architect of the Unitarian Church and the Montclair Women's Club, lived at 190 Gates Avenue. That home is still there, being lived in proudly. And William Bartlett, architect of the Social Services Building and the Glenridge Municipal Building, lived in Bloomfield, not too far afield. As we look to the future, we need to be mindful of the legacy of these talented individuals who gave Montclair so many of its innovative and beautiful buildings. Old buildings can be updated for modern use through adaptive reuse, and this is one preservation theory that should be investigated when looking at our historic buildings. And you'll see that, you'll see that theory in practice tonight when the awards people receive them. The one thing is we do not have any images of before and after, but I promise that they will be up on the website. So if you're interested to see what the project looked like beforehand, within a week, we'll have them up, I think? Okay. So as I've often said, buildings are really, they exist because of the people who live in them. So it's very important that these buildings become adapted to a modern way of life. And God knows things have changed in the past 100 years. So you'll see that these buildings, what people have done, really have been a glorious testament to, I think, the residents of Montclair. So I'm going to ask each commissioner to come up and present their awards. We'll have Michael Graham first. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to first thank Chair Bennett. This takes a lot of work to put together award ceremonies like this. The amount of time that she dedicates to this commission, it's hard to put into words. This is an effort, a labor of love, and it's an important work for the town, and we are very fortunate to have Chair Bennett serving the community. So thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to introduce the award for Diesel and Duke on Church Street, David Cusumano, Marcello Caguano, and Zachary Giddich. The applicant worked closely with the Historic Preservation Commission to restore the original storefront system after their initial request to remove the historic storefront and replace it with a modern anodized metal system. 20 Church Street, designed in the Art Deco style, dates from 1930 and incorporates 6 individual storefronts into the total facade. The building is a contributing asset in the Central Business Historic District. After initial discussions, the applicant stripped the original brass framing and replaced the deteriorated marble bulkhead in a marble which replicates the original. The applicant was able to retain the original glass windows and has restored the central lighting fixture. The applicant's willingness to cooperate with the Historic Preservation Commission in this important project revealed an historic storefront which has become a highlight of the Church Street experience. So that's the official blurb about Diesel and Duke. I want to say what a pleasure it was to work with Mr. Cusumano. So local businesses, it can be daunting to work with this commission at times. You know, time is money. You want to be up and running as quickly as possible. To come before us and to hear our suggestions and to perhaps change your plans, it can be challenging. But if the dialogue that we had with Mr. Cusumano was constructive from day one, the work that he did on that storefront is nothing short of stunning. It is a crown jewel in one of the most important corridors to Montclair residents, and we could not be happier or more pleased with the work that he did. If you have not driven by or walked by that storefront, it is a showstopper, and we commend you for your work. We are extremely proud to have worked with you on that project, and we thank you very much. And with that, I would like to present you with the Brick and Mortar Award from the HPC. Sure. All right. We like to
What's
put
that?
people on the spot.
Yeah, first off, we're open. So feel free to come by and get a burger. But no, like he said, kind of in the beginning, being a business in town, you know, your intentions are you want to get open, you want to do things. We always had the intention from the beginning to try and do things the right way. And after kind of meeting some hard stops at the beginning and poking around a little bit more, we had some constructive conversations that kind of went back and forth a little bit, took a step each time until finally we got the result that you know, really means a lot to me, being from the town, my family, and just having something fun for the street and something that people can appreciate that stands out. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight one more thing. Our goal is never to impede business. It really is to come to balance interests between the important, irreplaceable historic assets of this town and the importance of local businesses being able to thrive. So we thank you again, Mr. Cosmano. Thank you.
So next up, I'm going to invite Nick Giuliano to introduce the Bellevue Theater, the people that were responsible for the crown jewel of Upper Montclair that we've been waiting for a number of years, but I think it's come together very nicely. So Nick?
So our next award, which I'm pleased to present, is a Brick and Mortar Preservation Award for the Bellevue Theater, and the honors go to Jesse Doreen and Paul Sayag, architect Rachel Groszowski of RHG Architecture and Design, and builder Mark Tyrondola. Restoring, renovating, and reopening the Bellevue Theater represents a significant milestone, not only in preservation, but also in the revitalization of Montclair's arts and culture sector. This state-of-the-art cinema is set to become a commercial anchor for the local business district, a vibrant community hub, and a major destination for visitors in the area. The restoration is a tribute to the collective effort to maintain the Bellevue as a cultural beacon, balancing a deep respect for its historical roots and the needs of contemporary audiences. The Bellevue Theater, which first opened its doors on May 13, 1922, has faced numerous challenges throughout its history. After its closure on November 12, 2017, when Bowtie Cinemas vacated and removed all fixtures and equipment, the theater's future as a cinema was uncertain. The impact of technological advancements, changing cultural attitudes towards film consumption, and the COVID-19 pandemic added to the complexities of its preservation. In 2019, a promising partnership aimed to breathe new life into the Bellevue with a renovation and reopening plan. Unfortunately, the pandemic halted these efforts, and by January 2021, it was announced that the project would not move forward. However, on May 13, 2021, exactly 1 year before the theater's centennial, Bellevue Theater President Doreen Sayag, representing owner Jesse Sayag alongside Mayor Sean Spiller and Deputy Mayor Bill Herlock, revealed plans for the theater's restoration and eventual reopening. The Sayags have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to preserving the theater's integrity and historic charm. As of August 2024, renovations are nearing completion, with an opening date anticipated soon. The Bellevue, originally designed by J.H. Phillips and constructed by Robert Anderson, gained national acclaim for its distinctive Tudor Revival style. Its grandeur was highlighted by a balcony, six chandeliers, a proscenium, wall tapestries, and Tudor-style wooden beams. In 1983, United Artists transformed the theater into a triplex, and later, Jesse Sayag expanded it to a quad in 1997, altering some of its original design features but broadening its appeal. Recent restoration efforts by RHG Architecture and Design focused on reinstating the building's original symmetry with architectural features. This included exposing a boarded-up storefront, replacing broken windows, and repairing the stucco, marquee awning, and signage. These meticulous restorations, guided by the Historic Preservation Commission's Design Review Committee, have reinvigorated the Bellevue as a key landmark in the Upper Montclair Historic District. The reopening of the Bellevue Theater will not only honor its storied past, but ensure its continued role as a cherished community and cultural landmark for years to come. And at this time, we'd like to invite the recipients of this award up to the podium to receive their certificates. Paul? Thank you. Rachel? Oh, great, yeah. That's for you. We'll hold on to Mark's. And we'll just take a quick picture. Yeah, would you like to say anything?
Well, I appreciate the great honor. My family does as well. It's definitely been a long journey with the uncertainties with the theater. I'm happy we finally have some direction of exactly where we're going with it, and the future development of the site as well. We just got planning board approval a couple of months ago for the expansion of the property, so we're happy about that. But our biggest honor and achievement is obviously bringing the theater back to the community and giving them back, a location that they've loved for decades. So, I appreciate it and thank you.
Thank you both.
And now we're going to return back to Bloomfield Avenue. I'd like to invite John Reinmans up, and he will present the award to the Hampton House.
Thank you, Chair. And I'd like to reiterate what Mike said, which is the amount of work that you put into this commission is amazing. It wouldn't really exist without you, quite frankly. So I want to thank you very much. It's my honor to make an award to a project which is known as the Hampton House Furniture Building. And I think everyone knows that project on Bloomfield Avenue. It's an iconic building in Montclair. And the award goes to Dick Grabowski and Gary DeBode. Dick's son, Neil, is here to accept the award tonight. And I want to shout out to Linda Cranston, who made the nomination for this award. I did a little, I wasn't aware of some of the history of the building, so I did a little, I'll read the little blurb in a second, but a little history that this site was originally developed in 1812 by Peter Doremus. And his forebears developed the present building, which you see there today. There were town offices in this building on the top floor for many years. It was designed by a very prominent industrial designer by the name of William Teague, who did a pavilion at the 1939 World's Fair. He did a lot of design for cameras, radios. He was an industrial designer. Texaco gas stations, and he designed this building as well. I think everyone knows it. It's a very important building on Bloomfield Avenue. And Grabowski Development and Gary DeBode did an amazing job in terms of taking it, being sensitive to what it was, and altering it as well. So I'll read the little blurb here. Residents really appreciate developers who respect our historic districts and historic architecture. This project reflects respect and thoughtfulness. This building has housed the Hampton House Furniture Company since 1947 and has been a centerpiece in our town's downtown since 1890. Its facade has been Art Deco, Art Moderne since 1950, and since 1950 has been restored with matching materials and detail inside and out. A small addition housing an elevator, bathroom, mechanical equipment is barely noticeable in the rear of the roof. Also noteworthy is that even the rear of the building restored to look neat, that the rear of the building was restored to look neat and tidy for viewers coming up Fullerton to Bloomfield Avenue. This project has contributed to preserving our downtown's character, and Montclair residents really appreciate this care and effort. So it's my honor to present this to Neil, If you'd come up and accept this award, that would. Congratulations. Very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to say it? You want to say it? Thank you.
Well, I know Dad and Gary both would be honored to be here tonight, and I'm sorry that they can't. But we are honored to be in this community, and we love the buildings that we have here in this community, and it's an honor to keep them looking and functioning at their top, and to try and honor the architecture and the place that these buildings served for many years, for 100+ years in the case of this building. So thank you very much for the honor and for having us tonight.
And our fourth Bricks and Mortar Award will be presented by Zena Floyd. And she's going to tell us about, I call it St. Eric, St. Paul's, Glenridge Avenue. I forgot the number, 260? 205 Glenridge Avenue. So please come to the podium.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening. It is an honor for me to recognize 205 Glenridge Avenue, the former Eric's Swedish Lutheran Church. I don't know if any of you have known it or walked by it, but it's absolutely beautiful church, and we were very happy to know that it was able to be restored. The owner, Roman Drukarov, as well as the architect, Adam Lasota, the engineer, Rampton Group, the stained glass, which was absolutely beautiful, is done by Orange Valley Glass, Frank Valvano. The masonry and construction, the mountain construction, Mike Toronto. And of course, the absolutely wonderful tenant, House of Freya, Apothecary. Vacant for 16 years and facing potential, oh, I need to put my glasses on, excuse me 1 second. Vacant for 16 years and the potential demolition, a deteriorating 19th century church downtown Montclair was revitalized by its new owner, Roman Drukarov. Originally built in 1896 as St. Eric's Swedish Lutheran Church, the building had been in disrepair after being sold and repurposed multiple times. The church, located just outside Town Center Historic District, was nearly lost to demolition before Drukarov purchased it in December of 2021. The restoration, completed in June of 2024, involved extensive structural and exterior repair, including renovation, including reframing, reflooring, and the installation of appropriate fixtures. The building now serves as a retail space for House of Freya, Apothecary, that honors the church's history while offering a new purpose. Owner Daisy De Dios emphasizes the importance of preserving the building's original character and integrating its historical significance into the business identity. I just want to make a quick statement in reference to this property that Chair Bennett shared with me, and I think it's important for us to know. We as the HPC, it's our responsibility to educate the community as well as business owners the value of retaining and restoring historical assets in our town. We need to know from where we've come so we know where we're going. So this project in particular was supposed to be demolished, and if the HPC had not recognized the value of it in its entirety, we might have lost a very, very important piece of architectural structure in our town. House of Freya has done an amazing job. I actually went to visit, and I had the experience of having a past life reading, which is quite entertaining. And I think that this property will eventually be a very important destination location because it offers us an opportunity to have a broader perspective of spiritual appreciation. It offers healing, it offers manifestation, as well as quite a few other things that I think that would be very apropos for our town. So I thank the House of Freya, and I'd like the opportunity, as well as Mr. Roman Drukarov. I asked him about 3 or 4 times for the pronunciation. I still got it wrong, so I apologize. But I would like you all to come up if you'd like to receive your award this evening. And thank you very much for your dedication and commitment to our town. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to say something? There you go. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't really know what to say, but my wife and I, we used to walk by that building every day because we lived around the corner on Forest Street, and we just thought that the architectural beauty of it needs to be restored, and we didn't want to see it become an apartment. So, you know, it was a joy, it was a pleasure building it and restoring it, and we found, or Daisy and I found each other before we even started the construction, and she wanted to go in there, and we worked on it together, really. We saw the vision for it, and so I'm happy she's able to have a new home for her business.
Well, thank you. Did you want to say something?
And now we have our Preservation Service Award. I'd like to introduce Commission Member Jerry Sweeney to come up and make the presentation.
Thank you. Tonight is a night of awards and presentation. We've heard the thank yous for Kathleen Bennett, who is a life force on the HPC. The commissioners are also life forces, devote substantial time and effort. Most importantly is the community, and the people who have come here tonight, the building owners, the tenants, architects, contractors, all who work towards preservation. You can create a historic item, that's the first step, but history tends to deteriorate, and sometimes it outdates. So historic preservation is important for the building, the historic site or object, and for the community because it is symbolic and represents our community and the type of our community. Now, the Preservation Service Award is different. All tonight we've heard about buildings and structures. I'm going to talk about an award to people who really contribute to preserving, upgrading, and making recognizable and clean and useful some other historic elements and memorials, mostly related to war memorials, but they're also historical elements and they're part of the community. And we also look at things of that nature, not just buildings. Anyway, the Preservation Service recognizes outstanding achievement and support for furthering the aims of the historic preservation of Montclair Township. And tonight we're going to honor 2 people. Michael Perrone of the Belleville, mind you, also Essex County, and not a suburb of Montclair, but nevertheless joined in the same historic preservation effort. And Michelle Camerata, who's on our Director of Recreation and Cultural Affairs. And part of this award will recognize importance of those who do the work and effort to preserve, and those who coordinate and put their time and effort in trying to get people into do it, recognizing the need and supporting it. Again, I'd say that goes to everyone here in this room and everyone in the community. Historic preservation is a community responsibility. Anyway, the HPC tonight recognizes and salutes Michael Petrone and the Belleville Historical Society for refurbishing the Edgemont Park and Watchung Plaza memorials. And those are war memorials. I visited them both today. They're both beautiful. The one in Edgemont Park is truly outstanding, and it recognizes from initially World War I the veterans who died in that war to end all wars. World War II and Vietnam War and the Korean War. So, and perhaps you can always update it because wars, unfortunately, seem to continue. But anyway, it's a really unique and historical memorial. The memorial in at Watchung Plaza is also unique and honors people who had died. I'm going to read the 2 weeks. This gives you the context and why it shows how people stepped up when necessary and devoted time, effort, and I have to say love to doing this project. 2 weeks before Memorial Day service at Edgemont Park, the statue by Charles Keck, dedicated in 1925 to honor Montclair's fallen soldiers, was vandalized with graffiti. Former Councilman and Mayor Bob Russo connected Michelle with Michael Petrone, who is president of the Belleville Historical Society, who leads a group that cleans and refurbishes memorial statues at no charge. Within a week, and that's pretty fast for anything that occurs in a municipality. The base of the memorial was cleaned. All the graffiti was removed using modern update biodegradable non-toxic agents recommended by the National Park Service. And the Memorial Day service took place against this new, beautiful, super shining and sparkling memorial of the statue known as the Winged Victory Monument. And all of you ought to go by and see it. You got to buy and see all of these buildings we talk about, but see that. It's particularly emotional and important. Mr. Perone's group also refurbished the bronze plaque at the Watchung Plaza, and despite ongoing masonry repairs due to extreme heat, continues to restore gravestones. This is part of his other work, including creating a new gravestone for Black Civil War soldiers in Bloomfield Cemetery. So Mr. Perone is honored because he does a lot for many communities. Tonight we honor him for what he's done in Montclair. Last year the group built a monument for 32 Revolutionary soldiers buried there in Bloomfield, and they are currently working on military gravestones for Vietnam soldiers in Woodland Cemetery in Newark, with a monument installation planned for September this month. To date, over 500 military gravestones in northern Jersey have been restored by that group. That's pretty impressive. Mr. Perone, the proprietor of a masonry company in Belleville, uses his expertise and love and caring to preserve historic monuments for the community and for the benefit of all. The HPC acknowledged his and the Belleville Historical Society's dedication to preserving historic monuments. So it's a well worth and earned preservation service award. So I salute Michael Perone and I salute Michelle Camarada. And if they're here, because unfortunately I don't recognize them, I would ask that they come up and receive these certificates. Now I know. Now I recognize you. Now I know and recognize you. So I got to thank you both. I'm going to take it out of this thing. You can have it. But Michael, thank you for all of your past, continuing, and future. And it seems like you're going to be doing it forever. And Michelle, thank you for all of your efforts. And as I said, it takes an entire community to get it done. It gets the people who sign and identify the problems, the people who push to have it fixed, the people who coordinate it, and most importantly, the people who actually do it. So thank you both. And here's your platform to speak to all of us. And so,
thank you very much. I'll just say a couple brief words. This gentleman is like an angel when it comes to monuments and restoring them. So very briefly, I was in contact with him through Bob Russo, and he was restoring the Watchung Plaza monument, correct? And, you know, contacted me, and he was starting to do some work. And 2 weeks before Memorial Day, we found that there was graffiti on the statue in Edgemont Park. I contacted him and I said, help, help, help. We have to have a ceremony here, and the whole thing is full of graffiti. They performed a miracle. They really did, because this is not something that you can go out there and power wash and get it clean. And he said, don't worry, we'll get it done for you. So I'm going to turn it over to, because he's the expert. Thank you.
Thank you. Ever since I started driving more than 40 years ago and driving through Montclair and past the Edgemont Park, I would always see that magnificent monument and just say, wow. And for decades, I've been driving past it and just stunned by that magnificent war memorial to the young men who died in World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and Korea. So, you know, when Bob Russo contacted me about the situation, you know, it was like, no problem. Consider it done. And so, you know, it's just been a privilege for us to help do our little part to, you know, bring these monuments back. These are boys. You know, when I was a kid, they were soldiers. But we've been doing these restorations of military monuments and graves for years, and I used to think that they were soldiers. And as I got older, and when we clean a stone, we usually are able to get a photograph of the young soldier and their kids. So, you know, the least we can do is to make sure that the memorials to these young boys are in great condition. And so, you know, thank you for letting us have this opportunity. And, you know, the preservation work you do isn't just for the people of Montclair. You know, there's thousands of people who visit Montclair and drive through Montclair and see all of these magnificent structures in town. And it's just a great thing to be proud of. So thank you for letting us be part of it.
thank you. I have one final request. As I say, the historic preservation is a community effort. A part of it is the people here and the rest of the community being also the eyes and the ears of places that need either intervention or some kind of for historic preservation, or intervention where they're taking action to either attempt to tear down, destroy, or substantially change a historic property. Once that's done, it's almost impossible to undo it. So the community is important. Your support for historic preservation and your eyes, ears, and voices are important. Thank you.
And now we are at the final award of the evening. This award is for Preservationist of the Year. Now, as it's defined on our website, the award recognizes the extraordinary contributions to the better understanding of the township's history and to the preservation of Montclair's historic architectural fabric. The individual will be recognized for furthering public education of the town's history and promoting its historic preservation through major projects, undertakings, offices, or positions, and the duration of the nominee's significant accomplishments. And it is my very great honor to recognize Mary Delaney Krugman and the efforts that she's done throughout the years, from the inception of the HPC in the early 1990s up until the current time. And I have a few things that I've written that because your resume is so long, I couldn't remember all of them. But Mary's career in preservation began when she and her family moved into a 19th century home in Montclair. Mary was the first chairperson of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission and instrumental in its creation. Holding a master's degree of science in historic preservation from Columbia and a Juris Doctor's degree from Columbia School of Law, Catholic University of America. So preservationist plus a lawyer. That's a hard combination to beat. Before she was a student at Columbia, Mary was a trustee of the Montclair Historical Society, which is now the Montclair History Center. After the completion of Montclair's Historic Structures Survey in 1980 to 1982, which really is a Bible to us now. We use that constantly, if not every day. Mary joined a committee of society members who saw the need for historic preservation ordinance and a municipal HP commission. They worked to craft a legal framework by which Montclair could preserve its architectural heritage. Montclair's first historic preservation ordinance. The committee petitioned the township for its passage, and in 1994, Montclair Township adopted the ordinance that created the Historic Preservation Commission. Mary was elected its first chairperson, and she served for 4 years in that capacity. During her tenure, the HPC used its new status to garner certified local government grants, which is what we still go for in today's world. And since I've been on board, I think we've gotten over 10. These grants help develop the technologically innovative surveys and the database of the town's historic assets, which you're able to asset at the township website. They also encouraged the development of the historic preservation element of the master plan, which identified important historic areas and buildings within the township, which again is like a Bible to us. We use it constantly. Upon graduation from Columbia in 1995, Mary's thesis, From Main Street to the Mall, The Evolution of the American Branch Department Store, was awarded Faculty Prize for Outstanding Thesis for the History Sector. It included a case study in adaptive reuse, reusing the Haynes Department Store as an example. Unfortunately, we lost it to developers in 2004. After graduation, she served as the first executive director of Preservation New Jersey, the statewide preservation nonprofit organization, after which she founded her private historic preservation consultant firm, MDKA. Mary's involvement with Montclair continued after she stepped down from the HPC. In 2000, she wrote a report for the township engineer chronicling the history and significance of the cobblestone swales, which still exist along Myrtle Street and some other streets in the First Residential First Residential Historic District, which if you've ever wondered what they are, what their history is. They are a useful and picturesque remnant of Montclair's 19th century development. Mary served as historic preservation specialist with FEMA in Louisiana after Hurricane Rita in 2006, and again in New Jersey after Superstorm Sandy in 2012 to 2013. She was able to put that experience to use as she cleaned up and flood-proofed her 19th century cottage in Ocean City, which had been ravaged by Superstorm Sandy. In 2015, Mary organized a series of resiliency workshops for both urban and coastal areas, co-sponsored by Preservation New Jersey and the New Jersey Historic Trust, in partnership with the New Jersey chapters of the AIA and the American Planning Association. In 2018, Mary compiled a study on redevelopment zones and the potential impacts on identified historic properties for the HPC in Montclair, and in 2019 she wrote a report on the historic preservation aspects of the rehabilitation of windows at the Bellevue Avenue Library. Both are available on the Montclair Township website under Historic Preservation Studies. Mary continues to live in Montclair and a 19th century farm in upstate New York, where she pursues painting and other artistic venues. She was a guiding light in the early days of preservation in Montclair, with her strong emphasis on the legalities of historic preservation. She recommends that commission members understand the law and regulations to preserve historic resources and hopes that the commission seeks opportunities for training in the principles that guide regulatory preservation practices. With this award, Montclair acknowledges Mary Delaney Krugman for her expert leadership in the formative years of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission and her many contributions to the preservation field. And I have to say that when I was first enticed onto the HPC, I had met Mary, and she's really been a mentor to me. So thank you so much for your guidance. I really appreciate it. So would you like to, without further ado, say a few words? This is your first.
Thank you so much. Well, if I've been a mentor, it's only because I've passed along mentorship from two people that I have to mention tonight, and they were very instrumental in guiding me to my activities. And it was first Eleanor Price, who spearheaded the Preservation Montclair 1980-82 survey that everyone uses so much. And the second person is Herb Githens, who is a historic architect, both of whom were in Montclair, practiced in Montclair, and he was on the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission meeting, the very first one, and also served on the Montclair Historical Society board. And both of those people really guided me to how to do preservation really well. Herb was what we call a Munton-to-Munton kind of architect. He was very detailed in only removing things that had to be removed and replacing them with in-kind with exactly the right thing. And Eleanor Price, an Irish historic architect, just won everyone over with her Irish charm and completed all of this. So with those two people in mind, I came to preservation in Montclair, and it's been a wonderful exercise for me to learn all about these buildings that I have enjoyed doing, and to Kathleen, who has exhausted herself preparing this awards ceremony, but she has done so much work, and the commission is to be congratulated after 30 years of activities for all of the contributions it's made to making Montclair livable and well-managed.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
So with that, I'd like again to extend my gratitude to our commission members, to our assistant planner, and to all the members in the community who have really come together tonight. It's a great energy in the room, and I hope that I know we will see great projects because we're already working on some for next year's Preservation Awards. So thank you again, and remember, there's always change. It's just how we manage change that makes it successful. So thank you again. Thank you to all.